Sakinaran kim purushan pratyatmeyanasrijat prabhu manayan atmanatmanam atmabhasam vilokayan. One day Brahma, the creator of the living entities, beheld his own reflection in the water, and, admiring himself, he evolved Kim Purushas as well as Kinnaras out of that reflection. Tat tu tach jagriho rupam tyaktvam nyat parameshtina mituni bhuya gayantas tam evo shashikarma bhi. They, the Kinnaras and Kimpurushas, two, but, tat, that, Jagrihu, took possession of, Rupam, the shadowy form, Tyaktvam, given up, Yat, which, Parameshtina, by Brahma, Mituni Bhuya, coming together with their spouses, Gayantaha, praise in song, Tam, him, Eva, only, Ushashi, at daybreak, Karmabhihi, with the exploits. Translation: the Kimpurushas and Kinnaras took possession of that shadowy form left by Brahma. That is why they and their spouses sing his praises by recounting his exploits at every daybreak. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The time early in the morning and 1.5 hours before sunrise is called Brahma Muhurta. During this Brahma Muhurta, spiritual activities are recommended. Spiritual activities performed early in the morning have a greater effect than in any other part of the day. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashkatya Desatara. So even devotional service is called Ahitukya Pratyata. It doesn't depend on any material circumstance, or it cannot be stopped by any material circumstance. That's how Prabhupada explained that. Still, we have here a hint that there are more favorable times. That doesn't mean that there are not favorable times. There's always favorable times. But this part of the day is preferred. And just brought to memory, I saw one devotee, a very amazing devotee, joining this movement. He had only one problem. He could never get up in the morning. So he got initiated under the name Brahma Muhurta. It was quite I know who recommended him with that name. It was kind of joke. But it is not a joke, it's a serious thing. Brahma Muhurta is a serious thing. So in Vedic, in a ritualistic performance, you could call it, even of devotional service, these things are taken into consideration, of course. Now you can overdo it, Like in a frame of preaching, the major and the only important principle is always remember Krishna and never forget him. And whoever you see, whoever you meet, inform him about Krishna. That's the basic principles. Otherwise, if you would take the ritualistic part of the Vedas as priority, we could hardly preach. One is also described that if you see a sinful person, you should immediately take bath in a Ganges. Well, we would have to walk with some special device with the Ganges water over our head, just by seeing people on the street. So there are so many conditions and so many regulations given, which is basically for those who don't preach. Prabhupada told to one of his very dynamic preachers, he said, as a preacher, you have a lot of benefits. Many regulations are secondary importance. But then Prabhupada said, but don't take too much advantage of that. He said the same thing about our philosophy. He said, our philosophy is very sharp. You can cut everything with it. It's undefeatable. But you can also cut your throat. It's like a razor blade. It can backfire. How? Well, when you think, oh, this is so nice, I am undefeatable. And you start to go around and let people feel that you are undefeatable. In other words, you become arrogant. So this is very dangerous and it can backfire. But we can very easily protect ourselves from that because we should always remember where we come from. This is what Prabhupada said, never forget that. From what kind of fallen condition we came, Nowadays we have people coming from, you could say, less degraded circumstances, less degraded circumstances as previously. I joined a movement where many bhaktas couldn't even remember their name. We had names for them. Bhakta Frankenstein, Bhakta this. I mean, really, people who were at the end of everything. They said, now I will surrender. That's a conditioned soul, First you use everything up, burn everything down when you have nothing. Krishna, take whatever I have. What do you mean, whatever I have? I have nothing left. So, unfortunately, many conditioned souls join like that. They have to burn themselves to the crisp, practically. And they offer the ashes to Krishna. Here, take it. Krishna is so merciful. He will do that. He is so amazing. Because what can we give to Krishna? Everything comes from him already. Including life force. Including the ability to remember and forget. Including the ability even to speak, to express ourselves, to move around. This body, this is all, we created nothing of this. Not like you make a body, in a backyard and then you use it. No, it was given to us, all of it, like that. We cannot control anything of this either. So more and more awareness of this dependency on God in all regards, which is a sign of any pious person. It's just like in other religions, or in religious, Prabhupada call them religionists, they limit the whole thing. God give us our daily bread. Yeah, that's a good idea, but God is not just a baker. God is almighty, He will punish you. Actually, Krishna doesn't like it. We never have a picture of Krishna with a whip in a hand. We have a picture of Krishna with a flute, but not with a whip. For this, he is delegating. The punishment department is there. There is Durga, there is Yamaraj, This is delegated. Krishna himself he doesn't want to punish anybody. Krishna wants to have a nice, loving relationship. But what can he do if they are such rascals? And what is the actual function of punishment? It's educational and protective. I remember one of my godbrothers, he was a hippie, peace, love and peace. So he came on a door, the Prabhupada just finished the lecture, and he concluded that when Krishna says you must kill, you must kill. And then he finished the lecture. And he was shocked. He said, this is a saintly person here from India. He's preaching this? What is this? And then he was so shocked he couldn't leave anymore. So after the lecture, and Prabhupada was very approachable, especially in the early days, So he asks, Swamiji, I mean, how can you say such a thing? Kill, 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 kill. You know. And Prabhupada said, no, Krishna is saying. I'm not, Krishna is saying. You know. If you know Prabhupada, of course, you know, he used quite heavy vocabulary. That word rascal came very often. Very often. Rascal, 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 rascal. You know. And then killing, killing, killing. Well, people don't like to remember this even today. But that's Prabhupada mentioned these words very often. So Prabhupada said, killing? First of all, we are not this body. So this body is a fragile, it's a temporary thing. By the way, if you are thinking people should not die, well, you will die anyway. So, but that doesn't justify unlawful killing. And then he explained. He said, killing is for protection. If it's completely established and completely clear that with this body you will just accumulate more and more bad karma and harm others, then better you don't have it. That's mercy. If you see a child going with a knife around, you know, harming himself and others, well, better you take the knife away from him. That's mercy. It's a very controversial subject matter, but it's not. Because we are still so bodily conscious. Oh my God, this body, this body. This body, my dear. Oh, a needle comes, you go, ah, you know. And who insulted my body, huh? How can somebody even suspect I could be stupid? Therefore, false ego. This is like the wall. And this is actually the major obstacle in preaching. So preachers are very expert to go around that. Prabhupada gave a mantra for book distribution, the only mantra he ever gave. My dear sir, you are so great. You are so powerful. You are so beautiful and resourceful. Could you please, for a few seconds, put your wonderful assets aside and accept the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Humility. The preaching is wonderful because you must become humble. You know, you cannot go around and use the Shastra, which is sometimes Shastra. Shastra means also weapon. You cannot go around like this. And this lesson comes to everybody. Everybody preacher very quickly realize. And then of course, becoming a little bit introspective, you realize you are preaching to conditioned souls while discovering your own level of conditioning. Where is the anger coming from? Anger comes from envy. In a material sense. There's a spiritual anger. There's a spiritual anger. One devotee also approached Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, I'm falling down all the time. I'm so angry. Prabhupada said, what's wrong with anger? He said, Krishna spoke the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna to make him angry. Because how else you can fight if you are not angry? And then he gave example of Hanuman, who was so angry on Ravana that he just jumped over the ocean just to finish him off. You know, yeah. Prabhupada said, that's Krishna conscious anger. Yeah. Angry if a devotee gets, insulted or obstructed in his service. That anger is absolutely justified. I could go further into the Vaishnava aparat and all this. Well, let's first define who is a Vaishnava. Then we can speak about aparada. Let's get realistic. So it is a very dangerous thing. But first of all, let's see the circumstance. Let's see the level of conditioning we are operating on. So this comes to a preacher. Preacher automatically becomes exposed. Yeah. This is the beautiful thing about preaching. Therefore, Prabhupada wants us, this whole movement is a preaching movement. You stop preaching, illusion comes. You stop preaching, you think, I am this and I am that. Oh, especially I notice when you go to holy dhams, because so many spiritual emotions will be awoken. Holy Dharma is provoking so many spiritual, wonderful emotions. The question is what we are going to do with it. What are we going to do with our spiritual emotions? To get more puffed up? To get more self-confident? Yeah, I'm already there. I'm already there. Well, that will be seen by the level of material desires, which will come and expose us. That's one of the reasons why Vrindavan is a place where it's recorded where the most ferocious things ever happened in ISKCON. People got killed, kidnapped, incredible things. You think, how is that possible? This is Krishna's Vrindavan. No, this is exactly where the custom comes in, the border police. You have to show your face, And when Krishna, he's the operator, so when he raises the lust in your heart, you will blow up like a torch. We saw this unfortunately happening. Frantic mental activity, anxiety, and lust, this comes up in the heart of an offender. Because the ultimate offense goes to Krishna. Yeah. And there's actually a censorship. No, you are not permitted. Why not? Well, look, we turn it a little bit on. Yep. And then, here goes the Vaishnava. Boom! Like a rocket with lots of ashes behind. Boom! This is an amazing mechanism. And when you see it, one becomes very cautious, very careful. He goes, oh, Krishna, you are in my heart, right? We are okay, right? Hare Krishna, we are okay, isn't it? And Krishna is Anumanta and Upadrashta. He is observing and giving permission. So he goes, so far so good, but there is much more to go. And that's the whole process. It's an ongoing process of purification. I had one god brother, he told me, I never understood why Prabhupada gave me sannyas. I wasn't asking for it. He indicated, Prabhupada didn't push for it. He indicated that could be possible for you, yeah. I was going, it's a great idea. I'm brahmachari, I live like that, never was married. It was the easy way to go. Okay, let's go, sannyas, bam. But then I realized, maybe it was too early. Sannyas is a horrible thing when you do it not in a proper time. Because you will be put right away in a spot. Prabhupada said it's like a blank sheet and a little spot on it will become immediately visible. Yeah. So very challenging. A real sannyas. So if you see, very often sannyasis end up being criticized. And that also has a meaning to it because that challenges you all the time. You have to keep you online all the time. And you will be observed and you will be criticized. Especially today, where on the internet anybody can say anything. So, anyway, and this my godbrother, he was very nice, he was very honest. He's known for his honesty, which gets him occasionally in trouble. He's not diplomatic at all. So he just, he told me, and I always wondered, I understand Grihastas, I can relate to it. I can do some little business, I know how to do that. Things which are not sannyas, Actually, money, business is not a sannyas thing. So, but then he looked very relaxed and he said, now I am 75. Now I am okay. Old age is quite useful in that regard. It's a clear demonstration. It's over. Finished. You want to have some sex? Go for it. Yeah, the idea never stops. The story of the king and the minister, who asked, how long does lust last? And the minister said, to the last moment of your life. He said, that's impossible. When you are old and invalid, what do you want to do? No. The mental concept can be there. And the minister brought the king to a village where a man was dying. And he said, you bring your princess with you, your daughter with, the young princess. When they entered the cottage of the dying man, king coming to a cottage of a simple man. The man opened the eyes in amazement, and he looked at the princess, not at the king. And the king immediately understood, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. This goes to the last minute. I had a personal experience of that. Once upon a time I visited devotee in South Sweden, and in one night I got appendix inflammation. That's quite interesting experience. You know, it's like somebody puts a knife in your stomach. So I end up in emergency in a hospital, but the doctors, they're joking, you know. They're saying, appendix, you operate already in the elevator to the operation room. You know, this is just calm. It's just something you clip and that's it. So anyway, and I was put in a room of a 6 old man. One of them was so old he couldn't move anymore. He was obviously lying on that bed for a long, long time. How did I know that? Well, he was flat like this, you know, and they had two nurses had to come and turn him a day around so he doesn't rot, you know, from one side. He was living only from tubes coming into his body, feeding him some, I remember it was a bluish and pinkish liquid going into his body, on his arms. He could hardly do anything, he couldn't do anything. So they just came once a day, they turned him around, they washed him, changed the tubes, and you know. And he was lying just opposite to me. I was going, oh, wow. You know. And it was like being in a hell, you know, like, you know, woo, you know, it was like this. And I remember when the nurses came, you know, and they turned him around, with the last power he had, his hand was reaching out, and he tried to pinch the nurse in her behind, still reaching out. With the last power he had. I was going, wow, amazing. And the nurses, of course, they put the hand back, you know, and he couldn't do anything. I was going, that's amazing. I remember that story of the king, and actually the place was so annoying. I was supposed to be there 1 week, and after 3 days I just walked out. I realized, oh, my dress is in a cupboard there, bye-bye. And I just walked out, you know. I was going, this is so spooky here. This is ridiculous. So anyway, I never forget that incident. Prithu Prabhu, who may come around sometimes, he told me a funny story. He came from India, and he had a boil. You get them boils in India. I never had that, but I saw devotees having this. This is where the heat and everything extract the junk from your body in such a fast and violent way, it creates like a boil, which they have to puncture. Anyway, it's a nasty thing. It hurts. So he came from India, he had a big boil, and the doctors, of course, the Western doctor, this could be cancer. Very serious, very serious. And he said, come on, it's a boil, cut it out, and that's it. Prithu is like that too, you know. They said, no, you have to stay here for observation. So they kept them in a room, soon realizing, and if you know Prithu, he is really a man with no compromise. So all the patients were lying there in the morning, and he was, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And they were like, what is this? We want to sleep. So they told him, you cannot do that. He said, of course I will do that. I told you I want to go home, and you said you have to stay here. I'm chanting every morning, forget it. You know? So they were going, oh, what we are going to do with this man? Okay. We have a special room for you. He said, oh, you have a prayer room. They have it sometimes. No, it was not a prayer room, it was a special room. They put him in a room which was a kind of empty. There was some old green flower in a corner. But it was quiet, there was nobody there. He said, oh, this is nice, now I can chant here. So he was going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Then suddenly the door went open, and they pushed on the wheels a bed inside, with a man who was obviously dying. And they closed the door. And he realized, oh, that's a room where they push the people in the last minute when they know he's dying. That's obvious. So the other people don't get depressed and they don't have to watch this. The other patients. So they pushed the man and he was like, yeah. And Prithu was going, okay, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I will chant for you. And you know what? You can do nothing about it. That's Prithu's attitude. Get them and chant to them. So anyway, and he was chanting and the man was, he wanted to say something. So Prithu was going, what's going on? What do you want? And the man was, with last power here, he wanted to say something. So Prithu went down with the head and he asked, it was a football championship. And he asked if Germany was winning against Brazil. That was his last thought. And then he left the body. And Prithu was like, wow. The man is dying and his only worry is if Germany was victorious in football. Yeah? Can you imagine when you die? I was just in Split. That's the holy dam of the Hayduk society, Yeah, it's everybody, Hayduk, Hayduk, Hayduk. It's just like they chant the Hayduk all the time. So I was going, what happens to these people when they are dying, Hayduk, You can become a rat in a football stadium or something like that. What? What a tragedy. After millions of lifetimes, you have to die by chanting Hayduk. This is really ridiculous. So this is the lessons you get on the road. And when you preach, preaching is so nice because you can see it lively. Oh, that's how illusion works. It's amazing. And then it doesn't take long, you realize still how you feel affiliated with these illusions, and you get more cautious and more determined. Always remember Krishna, never forget him. Always remember Krishna, never forget him. Brahma Muhurta or not Brahma Muhurta, let's do it. And Brahma Muhurta is more favorable, okay, why not? Let's go for it. People go, why are you getting up so early in the morning? And actually, I think Bhakti Vikas Maharaj said, when you count the sadhana Prabhupada gave, which includes early morning, Brahma Muhurta, 16 rounds, Bhagavatam, deity greeting, the whole program. We call it the ISKCON sandwich, we used to call it. Why? Because you go to the lecture, then there's prasadam, then service, and then in the evening, Bhagavad Gita lecture. That's a standard. Bhagavad Gita lecture, again, evening artik, Bhagavad Gita lecture, some little prasadam, like this. So actually, if you go strictly what Prabhupada said, the sadhana, that relates to the temple, you have 6 hours a day gone. Now, of course, many grihastas will say, how do I maintain my family and this? And there's a beautiful letter from Prabhupada describing, of course, when you are burdened with that kind of responsibilities, we cannot expect that the grihastas will have exactly the same program like devotees in a temple. No, it cannot be, because you have to work. And, and grihastha is exposed to so many unavoidable material circumstances. So it's a complicated thing, it's a challenge, But I remember, I can quote another good brother of mine, not far away, when I was in Slovenia visiting in times where the yatra was really in a critical stage. They want to sell the temple in Ljubljana, it was very critical. It was, they had the GBC leaving, gurus leaving, and devotees were going, okay, let's sell the whole thing and split it. I collected for that thing, so I want my part back. That was the attitude. Fortunately, they didn't sell it because it's an amazing place, it's an amazing location. The building, yeah, that's another thing. Old schools, And of course, as usually, devotees buy a highly spooky buildings with a terrifying past. You want a list of temples in Europe? I can tell you what was there before. Villa Vrindavan. This used to be a Nazi place where which was at the end, Mussolini and all that. And it was taken over, then I think, where the members of the resistance were executed just straight on a wall when you come out of the temple. It goes like in terrace. And when it's Toscana, it's all terrace, like it's hilly areas. So I looked, it was big, and it was fortified terrace, with stones. And there was some marks from bullets everywhere. And I said, what was this? It was a shooting range? No, they executed here the members of the resistance. It was, wonderful, very auspicious. You go to ISKCON, Almviks Gård, Sweden, you know what that was? That was a state-operated animal testing farm. They tormented animals alive by cutting their bellies and testing what they have inside and this. It was so terrifying that even normal commies were flipping out. They couldn't go there. They said, what are you doing? But it was a testing, science. Science is always cutting something up and, the science, So that was the place. It's so contaminated you cannot imagine. It's even the water is even until today not drinkable. It's terrifying. There's a lake close by. It's practically dead. There's no fish in it. It's just people. Devotees always get places like that. Yeah. Oh, there's more. There's so many places. This place was also something funny. I know that. Because nobody wants it, that makes the place relatively cheap. So devotees go, oh, that's cheap, yeah. But they are buying just pieces of hell, But they turn it into a temple. Why not? Why not? Devotees ask me in Czech, this place in this town, and I used to live close to the town, I knew the place. Now we are turning it into a restaurant. It's called Manidhara, vegetarian restaurant. This was the biggest butcher shop in the whole town. They said, is it inauspicious? I said, no. Just knock down the ceramic. Just knock it all down the walls, clean it up, put a new tiles, a new sink. It's purified, and then you serve prasadam. It's in a beautiful location. Wonderful. What can you do? If we would consider the world around us, we couldn't touch anything. It's so contaminated, whatever is around. We could hardly touch anything. Prabhupada, when you see Prabhupada, what he had to accept, especially in the early days, when you see Prabhupada dress, first picture, Prabhupada stands there in some woman coat, too big, the sleeves are like this. Why? Well, it was cold, and Prabhupada came from India. He never saw snow. He never saw a New York winter. So he accepted whatever was given to him. Yeah, some coat, take it. Prabhupada with this Cossack hat, this Cossacks, Russian hat like this. Prabhupada dancing in Ratha Yatra in a cowboy shirt. This kind of funny cowboy shirt with the, That's what they gave to him. Prabhupada took it. What else? No, of course, later on things improved, naturally, because people start to go to India and it was like that. So Brahma Muhurta is very good, but we are not the Brahma Muhurta movement. I can quote my god brother Krishna Kshetra Prabhu. He said, we are not the rules and regulations movement ultimately. We are the Hare Krishna movement. But we should not artificially jump on a level of spontaneous bhakti. No. If you find somebody who is on a level of spontaneous bhakti, please show it to him. Show me too. I would like to get this mercy. No. We are sadhana people. We are rules and regulations. Don't do that, do this. Don't do this, do this. Don't do that, do this. All the time, it is to be checked. And if we think we are beyond that, well, good luck. Good luck. Even preachers are being compromised. Because too close. You came close to fire, you get burned. But Krishna is very protective. Oh, to become a Diksha Guru, my God, what that is. I cannot even speak about it. I saw it my whole life from outside. I remember one of my godbrothers, after the giving initiation, he couldn't walk up the stairs. He was going, boof, boof. I asked him, what happened? And he said, this was a heavy one. Because the transmission of karma. Therefore, it is a warning in a Shastra in this Kali Yuga. Don't take sannyas and don't accept too many followers. What can you do when you preach? What can you do? It will come to you anyway. Prabhupada said, I have it recorded from my godbrother. In his presence, Prabhupada said, now we have enough devotees. We have to cultivate the quality. By that time, ISKCON had maybe 350 devotees officially joined and initiated. Prabhupada said, it's enough. Let's cultivate the quality. But what could he do? There were so many more coming, more. And then that's a very difficult point. How do you stop this? We know how difficult it is to get somebody to Krishna consciousness. But just imagine you have the problem, there are too many coming to Krishna consciousness. I don't think we have the problem. But Prabhupada had the problem. What do you do with that? So he delegated. He delegated an explosively increasing movement. Cannot imagine the challenges Prabhupada was up to, what he was challenged with. But for some it proved deadly. Both sannyas and disciples, they proved really deadly. The burden which comes down on you. We are sitting here kind of quite happy people, you know what? Because I sit here, I talked, you may record it, you believe it or not, well, that's it, bye-bye. I'm keeping traveling, Yeah, okay. But when you are Guru, every word you say will be recorded and possibly even followed. I don't know what the responsibility is. You have to watch every word you're saying. You have to watch every action you are doing. They are observing always. Oh, Guru Maharaj is doing like that. Okay. So, you could say, your freedom is gone. Freedom of choice. No. One of the nicest description of being a Guru I got from my godbrother, who said, it's like father. His father is always observed by the children. What is he doing? So it's a responsible thing to be father, because the children will simply copy what you are doing. Now we are urged in Krishna consciousness not to follow blindly. Therefore we have more. There's Guru, Shastra and Sadhu. There's three. I can again quote my godbrother, another wonderful godbrother I've learned really in a preaching mood. He gave me so many nice quotes. He said, if you don't feel the fire, the urgent need to preach, then you are not a preacher. You must be really, powered by that. You must be so greedy to preach. It's one of his things. And he said something wonderful. He said, bring disciple back home, back to Godhead is a group effort. Now there is a Diksha Guru, we know that. That's the main. But usually disciples are living in an environment which is, they are guided by others too. So, that creates sometimes a problem, of course. Yeah. We saw in ISKCON what can happen when the Gurus are restricting the area me and my disciples, finished. And I understood also why it happened. I don't want to go now into it. This is a very controversial, direction. But I understand why they did that, but it didn't prove to be functionable very well. At the end, the Guru departs, even back home, back to Godhead, and the disciples are just, what? He's gone. So they have only these instructions, whatever is left, and sometimes there is not that much left. So they need others to help, support this. When they were not trained before to do that, in a discriminative way, to accept support from others, then they are in trouble. Then this implodes, the whole thing implodes. Guru gone, disciple gone. Blip. So that was not Prabhupada's vision, for sure. He trained us to be a self-standing and self-decision-making preaching units. In other words, he wanted us to be spiritually grown up. But grown up in Krishna consciousness means you are always depending on the Guru. You can never go above him. But there are departments where, like Prabhupada, he opened temples. And then, especially in India, so many issues came up. How do you worship deities? How do you do the temple is full of rituals? How do you do that? Prabhupada said, I don't know. I never lived in a temple. I was a Grihastha. I never lived in a temple. I was a Grihastha who always had desire to preach. But my godbrothers, they don't preach and they always live in a temple. They are expert. So go to them and ask about that. And devotees did that. And they got instruction, how to worship in great detail. Unfortunately, they also ask other things sometimes. That's what Prabhupada didn't say. So for particular purpose, for particular function, yes, please go to him. A disciple can be delegated. What's the big deal? It's natural. So we have a Shiksha Gurus, we have an advisors also, but of course the ultimate regulation is the spiritual master. He should be there to ultimately put things in order, establish the priorities according to time, place and circumstances. That's needed sometimes, because sometimes we hear a good thing, but it's a bad time or bad circumstance, yeah. Or it's inappropriate to, like a disciple, he may be a trained brahmachari. It's a classical story. But there's a moment where problems arise. So naturally he will take shelter of the Guru and say, what shall I do now? I'm preaching only to Matajis. I am not planning for it, it's happening. Like the whole world is full of women, the men died out. When you come to that vision, well, better you get married. So this, a Guru will suggest. Again, I can call, that's Dhanavya Maharaj, I can quote him. He told me something so wonderful. He said, I'm never telling disciples what to do. I'm telling them, if you do like that, this will happen. If you do like this, this will happen. If you do like this, this will happen. Now you make your choice. That's how people grow up. We have to make choices and take responsibility for the choices. Not that you go guru, 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 and you become like a pre-programmed sheep. Guru said, meh, let's go left, meh, let's go right, meh. Now there are such disciples, and Prabhupada said they are still better as no disciples, because at least they do follow. Bah, bah. That's okay, but Prabhupada was not very inspired by that. He called them the Dandavat disciples. He said they forget everything. They cannot remember anything, but they never forget to make a Dandavat when the Guru comes. So that's something, okay. But Prabhupada was inspired by a growing up, strong preachers. People who could stand up for Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada was inspired. Actually, the relationship to such a devotees he maintained was almost friendly. He said, how was the preaching? I'm preaching, you are preaching. How was the preaching? You know? Prabhupada was inspired. He took inspiration even from the disciples. Now you are connected to the Guru Parampara. Isn't it nice? So what are you experiencing when you are connected to Guru Parampara? I am connected to Guru Parampara. I mean, the relationship to watch this was really beautiful. And Prabhupada wants us to be like this. Grown-up people who knows what is right and what is wrong and can make a decision, still fully dependent on the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master. So this is generally how we flourish in Krishna consciousness. You know, yeah? So this is all to be learned and this is all to be cultivated. And it includes to take advantage of the favorable times, not so favorable times, but what can we do? We are chanting anyway. Sometimes, yes, it is a fact that sometimes the material energy has to also make some arrangement. Unfortunately, the conditioned soul, it doesn't, I heard from Yugoslavian war, those days, devotees came and they said, it's incredible. I think, I don't know the city, if it was Karlovac or Sarajevo, I don't know. It was all mess here. It was all shooting everywhere. But devotees observed that in one street in the city, where there was bombs blowing up and there was shooting, the cafes were still open. And people were sitting in the sunshine in a cafe and they were like, it was bam, bam, boom, bam, 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 bam. And people were going, hey, 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 there's war here. They said, not in this street. You know, you want coffee? I mean, that was, I always registered that story because that's exactly the mentality of the conditioned soul. Yeah, there is death, birth, old age and disease, but not here, not right now. There is misery, but not here right now. I'm quite okay. I'm okay. Are you okay? Well, we're okay, isn't it? We're okay. But then the bombing goes already to the next street. And then when they get hit, they go, oh my God, how could this happen? You know, how much stupid you can be. You know. Therefore, Prabhupada, that's for those optimistic people. Optimistic people. You know, positive thinking. Happy. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Prabhupada said, actually he gave many stories in connection to that, but he said, actually, this is lectures from the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which starts by armies opposing each other and ascertaining the power of the enemy. You know, how many divisions, where are the biggest warriors, you know, just checking out the battlefield. Prabhupada said, that's actually how we should preach. In a lecture he said that. We should ascertain the strength of our enemy and know his weak points. One lecture Prabhupada said, I'm a karate man. Karate is something you know where the weak points are, where with minimum strength and minimum impact you hit exactly the right place. I met even amongst devotees professional killers, you know, from the army and all this, special units. I always meet people like this, I don't know why. One devotee told me, yeah, I was trained to kill people with 2 fingers. Now normal people do what? I will pinch him or what? No. Yes, you pinch him in the right place, he's dead. There's a science how to do that. Prabhupada said, I am like that. I'm a karate man. I know exactly where to hit, where it hurts most. Just on the base. Like how do you fight an enemy? You take the base underneath feet. The knees lying there, bong. You know, yeah. But they are fighting, there are whole techniques how to do that. So, you know, so you just take the base from him. So Prabhupada said he went to the base of the whole stupidity and of the whole demoniac agenda and he attacked there. So this is an example. And this positive, Prabhupada said, what's a positive? He quoted Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. He said, this world is like a toilet. You finish your business and go. Who wants to stay in a toilet? Of course, people make attempts to stay even there. They put music and, very romantic to be in a toilet. But generally, that's not the place you stay. You just do your business, go. So Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's world is like this. Yeah. But Krishna arranged things so beautifully and so amazingly that we don't want to get out. No. We think this is really, and it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So Prabhupada said it's not even a change of location which is important. It is a change of consciousness. And consciousness means how you think, how you feel, and above all, what do you really want? These three things. And that's important. Once this is changed, then the whole world around us looks very differently. Then we are not in Zagreb anymore. We are not in Croatia anymore. We are in Krishna's kingdom. This is all Krishna's property. And to see Krishna connected to everything, it's so amazing. Then you realize, wow, this is amazing. Because Krishna is everything. And how he is everything? Well, this is an endless discovery. You think, wow, look how Krishna did that. Krishna is even the stupidity. Some people are so profoundly stupid, you think it's not possible. It's not possible to be stupid like this. Doesn't he understand? No, Krishna can empower you. You can become so stupid that you don't understand anything anymore. And similarly, Krishna can make somebody so intelligent and so capable that you would never expect a person being able to do what he is doing. I saw this happening. This is really amazing. I saw people coming out of nowhere becoming such amazing devotees. This is beautiful to behold. That gives you faith. You think, well, if it works on them, it could work on me, isn't it? Even I maybe even I have a chance. When you see this happening, it's amazing. Just sometimes, like on Sankirtan, we pray to Krishna, Krishna, do you have to be so neutral, so liberal? Couldn't you little bit, stop them? Stop them. Look, it's so obvious they are going to destroy everything, these idiots. And Krishna goes, well, that's what they want. Yeah. It's like Kurukshetra. Krishna didn't plan for the battle. But it had to happen because of the stupidity and the stubbornness. This mentality is there. No, it's going to happen. And there's a people in this world who will rather burn it to ashes before you can have it. Yeah? Prabhupada gives an example from his Victorian education from the school. He goes, when two boys were just like this, always on each other, the teacher called, this is Victorian education, he called the boys, come, come. So you are fighting each other all the time. But okay. Now, in a legitimate way, you are completely authorized to cause pain to yourself. You grab his ears, and you grab his ears. And with my blessing, boom! And they were going, wow, Then they realized the more I am pulling, he is pulling. So my pain is increasing according to the way I give him pain. Then they got maybe they got the point, what's the use of this? Let's not pull each other ears. But people are so stupid, they do that. They go, why would you? And then they realize, I am hooked up. I suffer also. So what does the devotee do? Haribol, Hare Krishna. No pulling. But you have to be responsible, fight for the country. Really? What is the country doing for me, by the way? And what is the country? It's always like in a communistic days, it's people's property, but who are the people? No. It was always few guys deriving benefit from the others. That's what it is. That's how the game goes. Few people exploit the majority. That's it. And it will always be like that. As one very wise man, 150 years ago said, democracy is the last trick of tyranny. They make you believe that you can vote, you have a choice. Nah, you don't have a choice. It's all arranged. And people know it even. And what they do, when they realize people know they are getting cheated, they educate people to passivity. How? By drowning them in sense gratification. Let it go. Just, let it go. And people mostly are like that. Okay, what can I do about it? But then you meet example of Srila Prabhupada, who was always on the edge, opposing. Always. Prabhupada said, I know, we may not be even victorious in many regards, but at least we said something. And we warned others. And we collect those few who are actually already suspecting there's something wrong here. So let's see. And the rest, what can we do? We are sitting here on the top of the hill in Zagreb. You think we are going to change the world? No, but you can influence the world. We can. I remember one of my godbrothers, he said, when I land in some city, I can immediately feel if there's a temple there or not. They know we are here. They know Lomancha does all the, every day, snow and rain and, How many books he distributes? I don't think he knows himself. But he's there. Yes, hello. And they know. Like one devotee, he said, you have in Zagreb the man on a horse, a statue, and then his Lomanchita next to it. They're always there. They're always there. It doesn't matter what the conditions are. They will be there. So that stubbornness, that steadiness, and that determination, that attracts Krishna's mercy. And the rest, leave it up to him. What can we do? We can do this. None of us has to sit here today. We could do other things. But we decided we will do that. We will hear about Prabhupada and Krishna. So that's it. And I can only pay my dandavats to the devotees when I come around in these places where I meet the same devotees, the same faces. I used to say it's boring when I was young. When you're young you think, that's the same. It's not something new coming. When you get older you appreciate. It's the same. Very nice. Very nice. The same devotees, Because things around us are changing. But the devotees are not changing. Hare Krishna, okay. When is the Kali Yuga coming? Okay, now it's progressing. Okay, Hare Krishna, yeah. You don't move. You just keep on going. This is so inspiring. This is so wonderful. And this is what Prabhupada did. He didn't move from his position. Wherever he was traveling all the time, but he didn't move from his position, just like that. So I can always thank devotees, thank you are here, thank you are doing what you are doing. It would be nicer if we could more combine things, but this is again a question of personal choice, and we are individual persons. We spontaneously like each other or not like each other. Sometimes we don't even understand why. But we should make it to one rule. If somebody is trying with all what he has to serve Krishna and Prabhupada, he deserved our love. That should be sufficient. That he has some special habits or special outlook sometimes, what can you do? This is just you could call it a deformation of the body, yeah? And it goes along the varnas. I could go now into the Varnashram Dharma, think, you think, oh, this Shudra body. Actually, it's a bodily thing. You think, why does he look like this? Is he stupid or what? No, he is simple. But he is devoted. I know one devotee who until today, who was with me when I was brahmachari, preaching already in Germany. And you know what he did? Nothing else is cleaning the temple. This is a man who loves two things, cleaning and prasadam. You come to the temple, he's just with gamsha, he just comes out of the toilets, just cleaning. He loves that. And then prasadam. The whole philosophy is around prasadam. You know that the body is changing every 7 years. So you eat 7 years prasadam, your whole body will be prasadam. This is his preaching. And it's very convincing, it's very determined. I don't know, he must be now old, but he is still eating lots of prasadam. And cleaning. So it's nice, simple. And then you have the Vaishya types, They always go, how much does it cost, and can we make some money here, and this and that, and they always make aside some with the money. You never ask a Vaishya where you get the money from. He will probably not give you any answer, or if he gives an answer, probably he is lying. That's Vaishya. He will just go, it's Krishna's mercy. He always makes some money somewhere. Why not? Why not? The question, of course, is what is he doing with the money? Well, you have to give him a little credit. Maybe he will not look like a poor man. Maybe he has his habits. Maybe he likes fancy cars. So let him have one. This is just a little piece of his income. When he can do so much service on the other side. Vaishyas need space to, take opportunities. And what to speak of a Kshatriya man? You know how much space he needs? Quite a lot. And he has to survey, and he has to manage, and he has to make, he has to give an authoritative guidance. People think, oh, that's another Nazi out there. No, he is guiding because he wants to protect. He has to protect people, something he has to protect. He will protect and protect and protect. And there are Shudras and Vaishyas. They take protection as being limiting, as being obstructing. It can become, but understand the motivation of the man. He just wants to protect, he wants to help. Actually, all of them, Vaishya wants to serve. How? Making money. Shudra wants to serve. How? Well, he will clean and he will, carry your suitcase. And Kshatriya, he wants to serve. How? Well, he will be ready to lay down his life for you. That's quite a service. He goes, oh, somebody wants to kill you. No problem, just stay back and I will have a discussion here with him. That's a Kshatriya man. And Brahmana, you give him a possibility to speak, to preach, to teach. If he doesn't teach, he becomes a caveman. He goes in some cave and he will just read some Shastra in a cave. But anyway, it's a whole thing because I was present when Prabhupada said, without the combination of Kshatriya and Brahmana, we will not spread this movement. Because one is teaching and the other one takes the teaching and puts it into action. It is to take a form. Like to speak right now here, but that's easy. I tell you, anybody can do that. I feel always sometimes so cowardly because I just talk. But I was temple president for more like 25 years, and devotees always think, yeah, it's nice talk, nice lecture. But the real life starts for me after the lecture. Okay? What we are going to do now? And then problems arrive. He cannot do that because of this, and he cannot do that because of that. And then you go between and you just deal with problems, difficulties, catastrophes. Once I asked my GBC, how can I avoid problems as a manager? And he laughed. He said, manager avoiding problems? He said, manager is eating problems for the breakfast. If you don't have that mentality, you are in a wrong place. You go, okay, hey, another disaster, some disaster today, and there is always some kind of disaster. So you have to have that mentality for that. So this is simple. You have to understand, people look sometimes strange and they act in a peculiar way, but the important part is the motivation. What motivates them? The desire. That's the important part. And we should look a little bit under the surface and accept sometimes devotees, yeah, they are like that, but what is motivating them? And we should meet on the level of motivation. How can we please Srila Prabhupada? How can we please Krishna? That should give us some space for cooperation. Not this kind of, Prabhu, how do you feel? Well, I feel that you feel. What do you feel? No, I don't feel like that. No, but I think you feel. No, I don't feel. So how do you feel? Do you love me? Yeah, no, I don't love you. Why don't you love me? You must love me. This emotional, sentimental business, it will never come to a solution. It will never work. We have to have a solid ground of cooperation, solid ground of relating to each other. And that's a service to the mission of the Guru Parampara, of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Some questions or comments to this? No. Yeah.
Regarding that thing that Prabhupada said, now we have enough men, we need to boil down the milk. Does this mean that Prabhupada did not intend ISKCON to have so many initiated?
No, he indicated, he spoke about initiated men. So he indicated congregation, yes, please come and support, become part of it. But the rules for congregations are different, like for those who are really initiated. Prabhupada made a clear distinction. And then it is not static, People from congregation can become more the hardcore. And the hardcore sometimes goes into the congregation. It's a flux, it's not static. You cannot say, I'm the hardcore member. Well, tomorrow you can find yourself in a congregation. And you go, I'm just a fallen congregation member. But you follow sometimes more the rules, regulations like the hardcore man. So who is who? But there is different levels. Yes. People think this is discriminating. No. This is, Prabhupada would call it scientific. It's a different levels, different circumstances. And it's not all one and the same. No, it's not. Prabhupada said it's not. Oh, I could give you quotes from Prabhupada, it's shocking. Maybe I should shock somebody. He said, no initiation for congregational members. It's only for those who are actively engaged in the preaching mission. The rest, he said, they can come and support. They can come and take part. Wonderful. But initiation only for active preachers. Whoa. Now I said really too much, isn't it? Well, I can show you the letter from Prabhupada where he's establishing this. Now it's just Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, initiation. Hare Krishna, initiation. Well, no wonder that we are a little bit watered out. We are a little bit washed out. You initiated, me initiated. Well, there's big differences sometimes. There are those who get up in the morning and give their lives for the preaching mission. And there are those who wake up in the morning and they are nicely but piously engaged in gradually cultivating Krishna consciousness. Why not? But it's a preaching movement. This is a Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not Babaji movement. No, Prabhupada said it very clearly. He said, no Babaji, no sitting somewhere. Hare Rama. I feel it. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Now I'm a bit overdoing it, I know, but I saw this in action. It always leads to a disaster. You know how many Babajis I saw in my lifetime? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I hear Krishna's flute. 1 year later, he's not here. You go, hey, what happened to the flute? Hey, where is he? Come on. We don't have to do that. But devotees, active preachers, they can take any part, in congregation, everywhere. So ultimately the the defining factor is how dedicated we are to the preaching mission of Srila Prabhupada. Mm-hmm.
Is it the Harinam, some kind of preaching?
Huh?
Is it the Harinam, some kind of preaching?
Harinam is fantastic.
Is it some kind of preaching also?
Of course. It's a frontline preaching. This is fantastic. Because we show ourselves, hey, devotee, here we are. This was the basis of this movement, book distribution, Harinam. And then came Prasaram distribution along with that. This was the basis, how this movement started. Prabhupada was the first Harinam man, alone, standing under a tree, public. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And people are going, whoa, there's a monk under a tree, what is this? I mean, I joined the movement, actually, I still saw remnants of that, where everybody was in Harinam. The Harinamas were going first session in the morning, then little lunch, and then until the night. Street, always on the street, always on the street. Well, no wonder people joined. Yeah, people joined. Yeah. Because we were more public. Now there's devotees, there's a whole town full of devotees, and people ask, where are you? I didn't saw you for a long time. It's like he gives his example because he's like, it doesn't matter how many books you distribute, people can see that he is there. Hare Krishna is here. So even you would be standing there in a gyps form, or plastic form in the rain, they will still know Hare Krishna is here. It's plastic, not so active, but it's here. We vanished in so many ways. We are becoming like, people don't even know we exist. So this public Harinam, wonderful. That's Lord Chaitanya's program. I just saw an amazing picture, that in that program in the evening, Harinam in a Western world, with cats and dogs and funny people standing around. And somebody painted this picture, This is actually what it is. Because sometimes we see pictures of Panchatattva dancing in moonlight somewhere, nowhere. Yeah, they did that. But ultimately Lord Chaitanya's Harinam was thousands of people. That was a real Harinam. Because people in India, people like to congregate. In the West, no. Not much. You go on Harinam, we are like an isolated group. But there are places like India and Russia, where you go on Harinam with 5 people and you come back with 500. And you have no idea where these people came from. They just join in. Ah, nice. Can happen. But not in Zagreb, I think. So we are like the sect there. What can we do? But Harinam is wonderful. And it's easy to join. Easy. Anybody can walk along and chant. Now I could go more in detail, I would get myself in trouble, and maybe I will not be invited anymore to some places. How shall we dress on Harinam? How shall we look on Harinam? You know, it's not just a walk in a park. It's a demonstration of the essence of Krishna consciousness. We are the messengers of Guru Parampara. Prabhupada called it the ambassadors. We represent the country. We represent the mission. So maybe we should look a little bit more decent, isn't it? At least for Harinam. You know, and I know a movement, I joined that movement, young people, you know, lots of motor passion going around. So there was always like, Harinam, come on, stupid, get in the car. And you think, oh, that's going to be funny, Harinam. They're already fighting in a car. But as soon as everybody came out of the car, we had a fantastic Harinam leaders, you know. So everybody lined up and it became an ecstatic, you know, procession. I remember Harinams, even in Germany, there was never less as 80 devotees or something like that. 60, 80 devotees was normal. And sometimes we were preaching in a place, not like this, on the top of the hill, but it was outside of the town, small house that was called the temple. So Sunday feast, nobody came. They cooked prasadam and everything, nobody came, really. So devotees were just doing the Sunday feast on their own between, you know, and then the prasadam, we ate it all without the guests even, it didn't matter. But then somebody got the idea, what are we doing here? We have just a party here. Nice party, but it's just a party. So instead of the Sunday feast, let's go on Harinam. And we were in a city called Heidelberg, which was known that on Sunday the shopping street was full. And it's long shopping street and very narrow. It goes like 3-4 kilometers like this, straight. Oh, it was fantastic. So we had our Sunday feast on the street. We went out on Harinam, you know, and just, that was the real Sunday feast, you know. Especially because that place is the echo of the walls of the buildings, is really amplification. So, you know, so. And then the city management said, you cannot do this on Sunday. As a matter of fact, public music performance is not allowed in the city like that. I remember there was Suhotra Swami was there. Oh, he was another one. He dictated a letter to the city management. Thank you for your response, and thank you that you did notice we are there. And we would like to inform you that on basis of your inspiration, we triple now the time being present in a shopping street and singing. We take it times 3, and the Buddhists did that. So the street was like this, the shopping street, bang, 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 bang. And the city management just backed away. They just get going. Better we don't say anything because they will then triple again, you know, not so good. So they backed away from that. Oh, in the initial stage they called police. And they came because how do you get 60, 80 devotees in a police station? They don't have such a big police stations. So they came with these buses, you know, with this especially buses which have a, you know, they have iron in the windows, and they came like, and they start to collect the devotees. So we learned very quickly that they cannot get that quickly 60, 80 devotees into the bus. So we immediately dispersed in the side streets, disappeared. They couldn't collect us all. But they could collect some. So then they put 20 devotees or whatever, they put them in a police station, heavy, you know, interrogation. Yeah, but there were still 40, 60 devotees out there. And what did they do? They made a Harinam around the police station, like this. This was a war, yeah. So they realized, first of all, we cannot catch them all. Second of all, when we catch some, the rest is in front of our windows, just making Harinam, chanting like heavy. It was not just a Mahamantra anymore, it was Namaste Narasringaya. And the devotees in the police station, they didn't care for the policemen, they were going, Haribol! So it went completely out of control, the whole thing. So they said, well, better we don't collect them anymore. They will go again. Let them go and then they will disappear again. So what? And now they know perfectly well, we are coming and we are going again. So what's the big deal? So that was especially the early days, but it was really big Harinams. I can give a most wonderful example of the Wrocław temple, Poland. Since 15 years or something like this, the temple president established one rule: before every Sunday feast, Harinam. So the city of Wrocław is so trained, the citizens, they know it's Sunday, 11 o'clock, there will be Harinam party in a shopping street. And they have a beautiful square like Zagreb, like this. So they know exactly, it's 11 o'clock, the Harinam is here. And it doesn't matter how many come. It doesn't matter what the weather conditions are. It doesn't matter if it's snow, anything. Sometimes there are 3, they go on Harinam. I can show you footage from that. Last Sunday they were there, again, they always send me pictures from that. Completely covered in plastic, devotees, because it was pouring rain. And they go still, there's nobody actually much out there, because it's pouring rain, and they just go. Because every Sunday, 11 o'clock, there is Harinam. And sometimes there are not 3, sometimes there are 20. Because it depends. Sometimes some grihastas, they can join in or not. But it's completely established. And the city is completely, in the infamous COVID times, they start in Poland to close down even churches, which is heavy. Because in Poland everybody goes to the church on Sunday. And they start to close down. And the Christians were complaining, you are closing us down, but the Hare Krishna is still out there, doing their processions, doing whatever they want, in the middle of, and they have not even their mouth covered. They are yelling all over the place. We cannot do that. Why can they do that? But the Wrocław city management, they got so used to us. When the Ratha Yatra comes once a year, the major of the city is going in front, in front of Lord Jagannath. It's amazing. So, that happens when you are just determined, Harinam, Ki Jai. Prabhupada started alone. That should be inspirational for us. One man Harinam. It doesn't take much, just to join. Nowadays you can bring the trolleys, you can bring the babies, you can bring whatever you want. Let's go on Harinam. Book distribution, that's another thing. This can go along with that, but this is a little bit privileged field, yes. But again, you can, if you want, you can. So, what more can be said? This is Prabhupada's program. Something else? I guess you have to. You are planning to go out?
We'll see from the devotees
You
inside. We'll need a.
You will see.
Yeah, what the organizers say.
Whatever, according to time, place, and circumstances, you can see. I remember in Sweden we had a Harinam by -30. You cannot chant, you know that? You go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The air is freezing in your mouth. By -30, that things get funny. You have to be careful to touch any iron. your fingers will freeze to it. You know, minus 30, minus 40, it's still devotees were like, and you think, how can they go out with Dode? This is not Bengal, you know, this is Sweden, it's minus 30. And devotees were still determined, no, we have to have Vaishnava dress. There was those days like this. But you will freeze to death. Beside that, Mataji with sari, that's still tolerable. It's a skirt. But this, by minus 30, gets wet and it becomes immediately frozen. I remember devotees going around and just banging the hard piece of dode around the wall so the ice field falls off and they can wear it again. It gets more and more heavy, you know that. It becomes really like stiff piece of board because it's minus 30, it's wet, it freezes immediately. But still they were determined, but they didn't freeze, you know why? They were all dressed in skiing outfits underneath. So they looked like balloons, you know, like, because they had a heavy ski, you know, this one piece, you know, with the hats and this. But they were so determined to still do that. But Sweden is an extreme place. Prabhupada said it's actually not a place for human beings to live in such an environment. But still, devotees, I don't know. Yeah. Usually they went like this because you cannot chant with this kind of temperature much. It really freezes in your mouth. So, you know, so they usually flocked in front of the entrance of the shopping house where the ventilation, the hot air comes out, the bad air, you know, from the ventilator, they pump it out on the street, it's warm. So they usually were glued to the wall on the warm ventilation channels and they were chanting like this. It's crazy, it's really, I was on Sankirtan by minus 30, it's far out. The books get hard, even the glue in the books is freezing, you know that? They become really like bricks. And people jump all the time. Nobody is static. Because, you know, they're always like, okay, how much do you want? Okay, you know, because if you stand, you just get frozen. People didn't stop the cars anymore. They parked the car, but they didn't stop the engine. Because especially diesel, you know, even they have extra supplements for that, but minus 30, you are not so sure you can start the diesel car again, so they just kept on running and went shopping. You know, so it's warm air coming, yeah, why not? Anyway, by minus 30, even the heating from the car is not helping you very much. Because it sucks in the cold air from outside before it warms up. It doesn't, because it's minus 30, minus 40, you know. Oh, this is really funny to operate in these circumstances. You have to have gloves like anything. Because if you have fingers, you cannot move fingers. After 5 minutes, you cannot move your fingers. So people give money, you know, you have these big gloves. And they go, and they take the glove off, give you money and put the glove on. And you take the money, take the glove on, take the money and put the glove on. You know, it's a whole techniques like this, how to do this. And still, devotees did that. We had marathons, big marathons in these temperatures. But nowadays it's not like this anymore. Fortunately. It warmed up. And nowadays also we don't have that kind of marathons. Anyway, so ahituke apratihata, it cannot be stopped by any material circumstance. If you are determined, you can always do it somewhere. I'm not advocating some suicidal kamikaze missions. We used to do that too. Want to die on Sankirtan, that was my program. The problem was I was not dying. We have actually, you know, we said today I will die. That's like, we always distribute the books, few books more before I die. That was the idea. Nah, Krishna was going, oh, that's really pathetic, you know. The man is dying here for me. Then Krishna was thinking, why don't you try some other program? Why do you try to live for me? Not dying, living. And then we realized, oh, things get complicated. Dying is just finished. But how do you live for Krishna? Then things get complicated. And this is the challenge. So Prabhupada taught us both how to live for Krishna and how to die for Krishna. But otherwise, yes, we are the whole life living in preparation for the moment where we can leave this behind and go bye-bye. And I was in situations where we were thinking, oh, now we are dying. Yeah. The moment came. Nah, it didn't. It was just my idea. Krishna had a very different opinion. Krishna was going, yeah, it could be like that if you are dying, but you are not dying. You will not die. When Krishna says you will not die, you will not die. That's it. Even all the circumstances around is like, okay, that's dying. No, it's not dying. It's just some little bit preview how it could be. I was in such a situations and I met devotees who were in much worse situations. And they said, it was an interesting experience, yeah. I saw the death world is standing around the corner. But Krishna said, no, that's not the time. You will not die. You have Gokul Chandra coming around here? He is right now in Croatia. He was in Zadar, from Salem, Oh, he told me a story. Oh, that's a typical Yugo story. He was here in the middle of the war still, You have Divya Prabandha here. He was right away in the military, in Daruvar. He was the artillery man. I asked him, oh, artilleryman, well, you must have killed quite a few people. And he was like, we will not talk about it. That's the Yugo generation, that's the war generation. And Gokul Chandra, he told me the story in Salem, which was, did you ever heard that story of Gokul Chandra? How he was already chanting in his home here, in the middle of the war. And the village got bombed, Bang! And somehow he said, well, it's all flying around here, what can I do? I will chant. And the house got hit. The hit was so violent, of course all the windows out, everything. And it was so violent, it slammed him on a wall like this, with a beatback. The pressure, Bang! And then he felt how all the, because the shrapnel, this is, it disintegrates into small metal pieces which are everywhere. So he felt like, and he was chanting, just waiting to die. He just was going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He just waited, finished. And then was the dust and dirt and the whole part of the house was gone. And then he was in a wall like this. And then he realized, I am not dead. That's amazing. I'm not even injured. And then he went from the wall, he looked back. The whole wall was full of these marks from the iron pieces flying around. It was so tight that he could see his silhouette, how he's standing like this, like print of his body, with the rest of the wall going, all damage. Just the place where he was standing was unharmed. He was going, oh, Hare Krishna, that's interesting. There was no time to go, not even to get injured. That I repeat just a story he told me. That's an experience. So there are devotees who were exposed to these kind of circumstances. But one day, one way or another, we will go. Yeah, sure, we will go. Let's see what Krishna decides, what he has in store for us. Car accidents, oh my God. I was never heavily involved in car accidents, but I was close to situations where devotees got killed in a car accident. Not very natural. And then still the question is, could have that been avoided? But sometimes you are in a situations you think, what can I do when I drive on a road and the guy with the truck coming in opposite direction falls asleep and he takes the turn on me? What can I do? There's no place to go. Just bam! What can I do? And I am not going to go seminar about car driving, but you can avoid lots of things. Because you have to think about the others too, not just you driving. Sometimes this is a crazy guy in that car. He's spaced out. Or a woman, on the internet, in a car, on a phone. In the car. You can see that, so you can move aside. It happened to me. I moved aside and the guy crashed in the car behind me because he didn't know it. That happened, yeah. I kept on driving. I was going, well, I'm okay. What's the problem? So this is things which can happen. But ultimately, what can we do? In Russia, car driving, oh no, my God. They drive this heavy kind of primitive cars, no power steering, just. And they're all drunk. Because Russians cannot distinguish between water and vodka. It looks the same, that. They drink vodka from these cups. You think, what? Be careful when you give lecture in Russia. They bring you water. You always go, okay, that's water. It happened to a devotee, you know that? He was in some far out place out there in Russia giving lecture in some congregation. And there was a cup with waters. He was going, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he was going, ah! This was vodka, that. They don't distinguish much in some regions in Russia. Nah. They drink it like water. So then you sit in a car. What do you expect? It's a heavy place, very heavy place. I was overtaken in Russia. I was not driving. I don't drive cars in Russia. But I was driven by devotees. On big roads. You cannot imagine. It's 6 lines just going straight to nowhere. I asked him, where did the road ends? In the next town. And I said, when is the next town? They said, it's around 1,200 kilometers. Big town. Just 1,000 kilometers here, 1,000 kilometers there. That's Russia, And suddenly you were overtaken by 4 black luxury Mercedes SUV with dark windows. And devotees immediately moved aside. And they were just going full speed, overtaking everybody. And then one guy, he didn't move. In front, I saw it. Oh. Kind of, either he was stubborn or he was sleepy, I don't know. So they were really blinking the lights. And when they overtaking him, one back door of the black SUV, Mercedes, opened in the back. And just a hand with a Kalashnikov came out. Watch out. And then the hand went in and closed the door again. I asked the devotees, who is this? They said, it's the local mafiosi going shopping or whatever. It's just, that's what it is. It's Russia. Local mafiosi and his bodyguards. Some problem, the Kalashnikov comes up. Hey, you want to talk? What do you want to talk? That's it. So, yeah, that's Russia. So, anyway, yeah. So, we don't know what happens. We don't know what is. But we know one thing, one day we have to go. But the beauty of Krishna consciousness is that we can have some fun until then. We don't have to sit here, I'm going to die, will you die? Kamis are like that. It's incredible. They are afraid of something which is totally unavoidable. And in the meanwhile, they cannot see what's happening in front of their eyes. So Krishna consciousness is so wonderful. You can be right now here, enjoying yourself before you die, yeah. What's the big deal? But they are like, oh, something tragic happened. Well, yeah, it will happen and it happens, but why not just chant Hare Krishna now and have some fun? Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Manidhara Prabhu ki jai.